I also did some stuff in Medway, so I did a winter wellness with Medway students. We did a little hot chocolate area, and they pledged on how they're going to look after their well-being over Christmas, on little baubles which are laminated, and they went on the Christmas tree in Medway, which was really nice to see. And then we had Christmas, which was nice and relaxing. And then this year I'll be focusing. Oh, actually, I forgot. I did a Don't Rush to Rent housing campaign, just to make sure students don't rush into renting, making sure they look into it a bit more properly, make sure they want to live with people they want to live with, and yeah, just generally not to rush into that. And then this year I'll be having a lot of focus on nighttime safety again. I did a lot of it last semester, doing like a update campaign of it in Feb with Kent Union and UCA Student Union. We'll be going to their unis to promote nighttime safety. They'll be coming to us, probably focusing on late night times, so probably going out on a Wednesday or here and there and tackling those students. Not tackling them, just getting them. And that didn't even sound any better either. And then we've done a lot of fruit and water this month around the library. And yeah, just a lot to come, I guess. Loads of campaigns, which I'll hopefully be able to update you on at the next Union Council. Beth?
Cheers. So similar to Dan, last we met was quite at the end of November. I can't remember if I had done my period awareness campaign by then. Probably had. But good news is that that was really well received by the university and by students. Very exciting. And Medway is now fully involved, which is also very exciting because we don't want them left out. So there is now a dispenser for sanitary products and condoms up at Medway, which I'm stocking up every week. I promise I'm trying to keep up. I'll tell you what though, condoms, can't keep on top of it. Absolute nightmare, students. Since then as well, we've, as Frank said, been working on the wellbeing stuff. I've been working on the SCAs that have just launched weeks ago, so the community awards. Just a little shout out there, although they're known as society awards, they're actually for the whole student community, volunteers, outreach, networks, everything. So it's not exclusive for society, so if you want to get involved, please do let me know. But the USEC have been hard at work doing that. And I'm soon to have my Start a Society campaign, which should hopefully help build up the community even further. So on that, I've got a little bit of reserved business. So if you aren't familiar, it just basically means please do not leave this forum. I'm actually going to be leaving my role in about a month's time. It's nothing personal. I have been offered a position that I'd be a banana to take down. So with the support of the union, I will be leaving my role early. Very sad, but I will be continuing to do a little bit of work until end of April with the union to see the awards through and things. Very emotional for me, but the SAB team you've got are fantastic and they're going to take up the bits of work that won't be covered. So yeah, bit of a sad news. I mean, probably happy for you guys, but sad for me. So yeah, but please do not let that leave this forum, as we just need to communicate it correctly to students and stakeholders. But yeah, so I'll be leaving in about 3 weeks.
As long as we didn't scare you off, Beth.
That's it, Ben. This forum scared me so much that I've had to leave.
One meeting and you're like, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah, sorry, Beth. It's very sad.
I'm done.
It's the only other thing to say, a couple of things that's just happened today, actually. The first thing is that the university have just emailed all students, I think it was today, about the Nss survey, which is quite important for them in terms of understanding student satisfaction and student feedback. So it'd be great if everybody could fill that in and get your peers to as well. And on a lighter side, the Jubilee, the Hansbury 60th year, the anniversary this year, it launches on February the 1st with a light up the city event, which should be on their website, which is a great event to get everybody involved in. And throughout the year this year, there'll be lots and lots of events happening in and around the university at all the campuses for the Diamond Jubilee, which is great. So yes, that's a couple of things from today.
Amazing, thank you very much. Did anyone have any questions that they would like to ask the SABs at all?
Yeah, I've got one.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I got asked by the RCN whether there was any possibility of involving like the student union in terms of the Royal College of Nursing, that union as well, and kind of having some joint activities that both the nursing union and the student union could be involved in terms of recruitment to the RCN. I'm just putting it out there because there are a lot of healthcare students.
So that's a really good point. Dan, I'll fight you. Dan, go.
Sorry, no, I was just going to say that sounds something we can take on board. I don't know if Beth wants to add anything, but
yeah, we have a nursing society, and I think that'd be a really good place to start with that. Get them involved. We've got obviously a lot of healthcare societies and students. I know last year when everything kicked off with the midwives across the country, we actually actively sought out all the other midwifery universities and create like a network. So we found that really useful. So definitely having more links with central organisations would be really good. And I'm saying that as if I'm going to take it on. I'll have a chat with the SAVs, and then someone can lead on that. It would be me.
I mean, I've already, because I'm on the RCN committee as well. And so it was the East Kent Trust that asked me to see if there was a way that we could kind of produce like a joint effort to involve the university in terms of the healthcare students that are in the university.
If it's okay with Chair, I would suggest that we action that for myself and Anna to have a chat. If that's right with Ben and Chris, can you minute that for me? And then we can meet to speak with Tony about that.
Sounds like a great idea. I know having students having a voice, particularly in terms of sort of the more vocational unions, is definitely a very good way of helping them in terms of their student lifestyle and also their transition into their respective practices. So I am definitely all for that. Let's have that as an action point.
Because I'm also with which another one of my badges, which is the RCN student ambassadors as well.
Keep
so
yourself
I've got
out
lots
of trouble.
Of hats.
So you keep yourself nice and out of trouble then?
No.
Did anyone have any more questions? Beth, did you want to comment?
Sorry, I just had a message through from Maddie. She just wanted to say a couple of things. Thank you to everyone who came and supported her on campus campaign, Sport on Campus. Been really well received. And I know we've had some chat with seniors at the university about it. And it seems it's really positive moving forward. So just lots of work to do there. She's put varsity, so I'm going to assume she wants to shout out about varsity that's been confirmed for the end of March. Don't have exact dates to hand. But we're hoping for a better varsity. We're hoping to also involve societies and other community groups in it this year and make it a real celebration of just the student community rather than just sport, which is really exciting, but more to come on that. And she's put awards, so I'm going to assume she wants to shout out SportsFed as well, which will be going ahead in April, week after SEAs. That's the list she's given me. I don't have any more than that, but she's sorry she can't be here. But if you've got any questions, I'm sure she'll be happy to get them by inbox, or we can try and answer them for you.
Excellent, thank you very much. So was there any other questions that people wanted to give to the SABs?
I've got one.
Yep, go ahead.
This was to do with, and this is campus-wide. It was something that I got approached regarding childcare, because it's a big issue with a lot of the students, mature students that have children, and it becomes very difficult for them to arrange childcare for when they're expected to be on campus. The problem with that is not so much they're looking for help or anything like that. It's more of to be informed so they can make arrangements, so they're informed early enough regarding when things are going to be on campus or when events are taking place, so they can arrange for that to happen. Because at the minute it isn't with advance notice.
Would that be in regards to things like timetabling?
Exactly.
So I am under the impression that the university has now agreed to a set plan that they should be telling students. Is it 8 weeks ahead of time?
Cool.
Um,
That's good.
Beth or Dan, would you be able to just confirm with that? Higher than that, a couple of months or so. So I believe once things have settled down properly, that we are going to be seeing a lot more of a consistent timetable, and that's going to be very much helpful. I know in the previous council last year, this was an issue that was raised quite a bit, because obviously knowing your timetable ahead of time means you can do things not just with childcare, but also your if you do extra work on the side, and knowing what's coming up is very helpful for that. We'll keep an eye on it and make sure that they are, of course, keeping to their agreement. Thank you for raising that. Right. If there are no more...
I just want to say, I wholeheartedly apologise the fact that the stickers on the period awareness period products in Medway are wonky. That's my fault.
That's okay. I'm sure we will live with the wonky labels. I've not seen anything too so far.
It's pretty bad.
To this, I love how you just brought that up, Jade. I'm sure everyone will be able to live with that.
I'm never going to live that down now, unfortunately.
Right. Was there any other questions at all to add to the subs?
So I'm talking through more than just me. But have we got a confirmed date yet for the awards? Not awards. Open nominations for next year's SABs. Not to push you guys out or anything.
Yeah, I can come in on that. So the timeline, I think I just need to check with Beth. I think it's common knowledge. Has it been announced officially? Frankie?
I'm not sure. I think there is something on the website, but don't quote me on that.
I've looked and I can't see anything except from last year's stuff.
Okay.
Don't know if I'm looking in the wrong place, which is quite possible.
I'm not quite sure if it's official yet. Yeah, sorry, Chris might be able to help us out.
Chris.
Yeah, just to confirm, it hasn't been released yet.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Yeah, we'll make sure to email round when it's official.
I'm sure it'll be advertised everywhere once it's been announced. Yeah. You won't miss it.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
Fantastic. Is there any more for any more? Excellent. In which case, let's move on to point 4, which is an update regarding point 5 from the last meeting, which I believe was the discussion about the appropriateness of the PLU.
Yeah, these are still ongoing. Like I said, we've been away for a little while, and I've got a meeting set up for about 3 weeks' time, maybe 2 weeks, with Paola, who is the new dean of healthcare. She's taken over from Deborah Towers. So I've got a meeting with her, which point 4 and 5 actually were on here for point 5, 5.6 will be discussed. And just note that me and Anna, who's our Medway coordinator as well, are working on a project on placements in general, really, and just the sort of general problems that Christchurch have with placements. We're undertaking some research into that, which will start, I think, with a survey. But we're trying to do it properly, so it's not going to be a quick thing. And I know that's not you want some things to happen quickly, but this has been an issue for quite a while. Yeah, we're going to try and do a big sort of research project on it, which is ongoing, and a survey will be live hopefully within the next month or so. So yeah, point 4 and 5 I should have more information on the next union council meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Fantastic. I know Professor Burton had put up some meetings over the previous months as well in regarding to expanding upon placement blocks. I know with the paramedics specifically looking at more non-ambulance placements, places that they wouldn't typically get a chance to go to. So it might be worth linking in with that as well, because that seems to be very much pushing in the same direction there.
That's great. Thank you.
Excellent. Right, Frankie, about 0.6, which is about 0.7, which honestly, that got me so confused for ages. 0.4 about 0.5, 0.5 about 0.6, and 0.6 about 0.7. In regards to, I believe that was
Shuttle bus.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, Ben, we got this agenda at like 11 o'clock, and I just saw on the agenda Beth and Frank just about 0.6. I was like, what the hell is this on about? Now, no. So yeah, so we've been having chats with the deep end, continuing about, so not the deep end, that's wrong, don't mean it that, the hub, about, you know, they really want to make sure that our students are accessing services, and for that as well, the link between Canterbury and Medway. I'm not gonna lie, hasn't really progressed anywhere, which is not unexpected with the university's history with the shuttle bus. So I mean, my next thoughts would be to try and utilise the Kent one, because it actually runs between Kent and Canterbury. So whether or not there's a way that we can kind of use that, because at the moment, I don't think there's a demand for it, especially from when I've been talking to students about, oh, would you come down to Canterbury? Because of the nature of our courses, a lot of students are on placements, so they don't have time to utilise our sports teams, or Canterbury students, there's not a lot going on at Medway to get them up there. Whereas if we had something that students could just jump on, especially for placements, so someone's in a Canterbury-based placement, it's ideal. So I would advise the next step would be to talk about using the Kent's current transport and maybe a partnership there. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that. I just don't feel like a shuttle bus every day for students is going to be used, and it's going to be seen as the university as a waste of money at the moment, just to be clear.
I'm kind of wondering if it's worthwhile that rather than looking at shuttle buses, maybe to approach the problem in a different method, is in giving societies the chance to get a minibus license. So I believe that's just a simple add-on to someone's existing driving license.
They do currently have that, and there is training. There's been several training sessions. The uptake from SOCs hasn't been that much this year, and it is open to Medway societies too. I just don't know if it's well utilised. Again, it's like, why would people come all the way to Canterbury when you've had a long day of lectures, placements, whatever it may be? I have, and I know Jade's been someone who's come up with me to Canterbury. I have tried to bring up students. I know Jazz has been as well. Yeah. And it is a long slog. Like, trying to get students up has been an absolute nightmare. I'm not going to lie to you. I suggest the societies come up, and like trying to get that many people to come up at once is difficult unless there's a purpose. Now that's the question of, should we be having more events, let's say at the deep end, aimed at Christchurch students? And that's a reason to get people up and move people between. So it's whether or not we're putting on the right things, if that makes sense, to get students either end. Like, what is the appeal?
Absolutely, I agree there. Anastasia, you had your hand up there.
Yeah, just to also add that if I'm going to bring up these points when I talk about community diversity and inclusion committee, but if one of the things we really want to encourage also is the Nightline volunteering, the Nightline volunteering service, using that Kent bus might be another way to get students up there. I'm not sure about the times that the bus runs, but if we make that partnership, it would probably encourage students to want to get up there to help in that service. So that would probably benefit that as well.
So it's all about that motivation and sort of why we would want to move between the two campuses.
Ben, I'm going to put you slightly on the spot here. Obviously, you are a Medway student. What would it take for you to come to Canterbury? But do you know that's worth 40 minutes each way of my time?
I mean, for me, it would be the big events. It would be the sessional talks if those were available. It would be something that I wouldn't be easily accessible up in Medway, or wouldn't be able to be feasible to host up in Medway. You'd want to have in sort of the larger campus at Canterbury. Those would probably be sort of my top three if you put me on the spot like that.
Sorry. Yeah, I think for me, what sticks out is like Freshers Fair, where we've got all of the teams and sites to give that good feel. I'd love to see Medway involved in that. We try and replicate it up at Medway, but it's just not the same. So that's the sort of area I think that's where we should potentially look to run shuttle buses or a minibus. We have 2 minibuses. We could utilise them and should utilise them.
I think maybe the other side as well. Medway has the advantage of having 3 universities worth of students up there. So maybe doing some sort of joint work, which I think links in a little bit to what Tony was saying in regards to getting the other unions involved as well. I believe there was an idea of a food festival at some point. That would work really well in the Medway campus, I would think. Anastasia?
Yeah, I think also that for any like events that are at the Students' Union or the lounge, obviously it's great that they happen every week, but then maybe some week societies that are in the Medway campus would be able to join us, and then any events that happen up there, vice versa. So just like building on that community even more, not looking at all the events as just our events or just Medway events, but the university's events that we want everyone to be at, well, as much as the SU will hold.
Completely agree with that, Anastasia. I think the issue we have at the moment, so for society takeover, is that's one of the examples which I think is really important, is if the university aren't on board with this, it's basically the union running it, and it involves me or one of the other staff members going, getting people, bringing them back, going, getting them, taking them back, bringing the minibus. And feasibly, it's just not possible to do every week, even once in a while.
Exactly. So that bus, the Kent bus, if it runs, I'm not sure the hours, but I have seen it like after 8 o'clock. So if we can make that arrangement, it would just make it, you know, I think even better. And then we wouldn't have to have that worry of like the nighttime safety aspect of it as well. So we'd be keeping students safe as well as ensuring that it's not just two different unis. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. I also want to make sure that maybe the CDI, this is something for you to make sure that bus is A, accessible, but B, also reliable. I'd hate for the issues to come down and be stranded because the last bus didn't run or whatever. So it's important that we can make sure that service, if we do use it, is reliable and accessible.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, the shuttle buses the uni has aren't. So
What are you aware of that?
definitely, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I think we just we'll make sure that I think that I'm not sure about that, but we can definitely look into it.
I was just going to I actually going to bring this in. So I know I've spoken to someone one of the Kent SABs last semester, and we were talking about the Kent bus, the Kent shuttle busing, and I don't think it's actually full. So it would be great to actually have a partnership with them so that it actually makes the bus full. So yeah, that's all I'm going to add.
That makes sense. If there's spare usage there, let's make sure it's fully utilised.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because it's a waste of petrol. That'd be harmful to the environment. Why not, have both unis? I know we're against each other sometimes, but not all the time.
Just to add as well, I know who's got their hand raised? Someone's got their hand raised. I can't see who it says. We currently have an agreement with the hub about Give It a Go, which is where we have activities where we pay per use. So it could be that we trial it on a pay per use thing and see if it's actually utilised. That's then good evidence that says actually lots of students using it. There might be a need here.
That's a good point. I think a little bit more work is required. Alice, did you want to jump in there?
Yeah, I've got a really quick question that might be silly. I'm not sure. Where does the bus go? Does it go to Uni of Kent campus, or does it go to town? Because if it goes to town, that would make sense. But if it goes to Uni Kent campus, it might be far for people to walk to the union.
I don't know if it does go anywhere near us at the moment. I heard that it goes to the bottom of town, but like if this is something that we can work on and have a partnership with them, I'm sure we can arrange for it to stop at the coach station or campus. Yeah, I don't know how big the
library
is. Yeah, I'm sure if it's something we work on, we can probably work out a destination where it can stop.
Also, my brain's just working on an accessibility point of view, and if it's in Kent, that's so far out.
Yeah, from Kent. Yeah,
I mean, from a practical point of view as well,
it'd be trekkers, because you'd have to then get a bus to get to the campus, then go from the campus to it'd just be a long journey in itself. Yeah. So it'd be great if we can work on something that's a lot more accessible.
Awesome.
Anastasia.
Just to quickly add that if we do also make that arrangement, maybe we could then talk to the bus service and talk about what the route is and how we can improve the route if it's going to be covered by more students, because ultimately I'm sure the route is designed by where the majority of students go, like where they go. So I would think that if we know that more students are going to be able to use it, we can maybe make an agreement of where the route goes. I don't know how much control we can have over that, but we can try.
Excellent. Does anyone have any extra comments they wanted to jump in on this with? Excellent, cool. So point 8 was a deferred point. I'm just going to defer it again because James is not here. If anyone sees him at some point, maybe get in touch with him just so he can sort of talk about a little bit more what he meant with his better student integration. Instead, Zane put up some stuff that he wanted to talk about earlier. If you'd like to have a go, Zane, the floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. There was a couple of points that I wanted to add to the agenda, but unfortunately, my assignments kind of got the better of me up until this weekend. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was something I brought up at the Vice Chancellor's Q&A, which is about student safety. And I was hoping to get a lot more information coming into the meeting today. But like I've been in Canterbury for a few years, and I was here before. And Canterbury as a town, in terms of incidents and things that have been happening, are getting worse and worse. There's been a couple of incidents last semester leading up to Christmas that I saw on campus itself. 2 being bikes trying to be stolen. One guy actually managed to catch up to the person that had come onto campus to take the bike. And I addressed this to the Vice Chancellor, and Moira kind of took over at that point, and nothing was kind of nothing was kind of rectified on that. I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but since the incidents have happened, I haven't myself seen security on campus itself. I've never seen security guards or anything like that, apart from the new buildings that have come up, which have got their own issues with, especially under my faculty with creative arts. I've had a number of run-in with security at one of the new buildings. So I just wanted to kind of open up a discussion about it, a dialogue. I've emailed Moira herself and arranged for a meeting at the end of the month. End of this week. So I was kind of hoping to have more information coming into the student council meeting, but of course we don't have another one until quite later on. So it's just something that I wanted to start thinking about, and also I wanted to also speak to the sabbatical office to see what was already in place. I know that the university sent out an email end of last week about the Safe Zone app. Up until the meeting with the Vice Chancellor, myself as a student coming to the end of my third year, sorry, I hadn't heard about myself. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you very much, Zane. It's obviously a very serious issue regarding making sure that all our students feel safe in any campus they're in, of themselves and also for their stuff. I'm wondering if there's a couple of aspects to take on board with this. So you mentioned there was some theft of bikes. Perhaps it would be prudent for the union to have a review on the storage facilities available for the bikes and whether they can be improved or they can be increased in sort of the way they're monitored. It'd be good to know sort of the routes of the security on site as well, whether they are patrolling the entirety of the campus or they've been told to focus on various areas. Of course, they should be doing the entire campus, in my opinion. It would be good to just get clarification on that. And also talk about the app, which I believe has been up for quite a while now before that email. Perhaps that indicates that we need to be more communicative about that app being available to people, that people know that it's available and how to get a hold of it. And I think that can be quite a nice, easy, quick win there. Anastasia, you had your hand up there.
Maybe within the Cbi Committee, something that we can do is when we do a campaign that we have coming up, we can add on to it, just be promoting the app that exists, the Safe Zone app, and just re-encouraging the use of it. I don't know, Frank, if you think that's something we can support, or if there's like a relaunch of it per se.
I think you could get a very good win out of it by making a poster saying, "This is the Safe Space app.
Yeah.
This is what big QR
sharing it.
code it'll download for you. Nice.
Just a question about the Safe Zone app as I'm thinking about it. Is it just on campus that it's used? And does that include Augustine House or?
So it is based on in campus, I believe, just on the campus. Beth, did you want to jump in there?
I've got to admit it does work on campus because you can use it to like report someone to track your way home. So someone can watch you on your way home and it will contact the right people outside of those barriers. So if you're out of campus, it will contact the police. But if you're on campus, it will contact the security. Regarding anything nighttime safety, this is what I've been constantly working on and promoting. So I've been promoting so much of the ways people could be safe, so like all the ways to get home. So Safe Zone apps in that. We've got the report and support service where people can report anything that's happening. So maybe, I don't know if you have, but if you could report the bike stealings through report and support, and that will go into university as well. We have the street marshals, lit routes, and we've got safety hubs that we have on the high street every so often on busy nights. I did work on a questionnaire that went out to students, and security was one of the things that popped up with not being visible. And I have sent this questionnaire to someone who works at university, so they're spreading it out. So hopefully that stuff from this questionnaire can be taken to the university lot. I'm also in constant work with the council and the police as well. So if there's anything you need me to bring up to them concerning safety, just let me know. Just pop me a message.
Can I just add something in there about security as well? In that I don't know if you knew this, but the security uses university uses a security company called NGS. They're now no longer working with that company. They've got a new one. I don't know why. Not gonna lie to you, we could potentially look at that. But it may be that we see some changes within the system, and it'd be good to know what training they're getting as part of the university procedures as well, which I'm happy to take away with Frankie and have a look at.
Yeah.
So a lot of good positive things there. Zane, you had your hand up.
I did have my hand up. I've forgotten what it was because there's a lot of stuff that came through.
Don't worry. In that
I think
case,
one of the things that I wanted to ask as well was I did have a conversation with there we go. I remember now. You said about the questionnaire. Myself, there's 3 faculty reps. Perhaps maybe that would be useful to send down to us, and we can send through down to the student reps to send out. Maybe that'll be helpful in that part. The other thing I wanted to kind of raise as well is with the security side of things, there's a lot of throughway entrances onto campus. Is maybe only making those a bit fewer so it can be more concisely guarded and help with students on campus itself. Obviously, as I said, this was just an opening dialogue onto it. I wish I came to this with more information and more questions to kind of put through, but this is at the moment like a fact-finding thing. And also you said as well, you have student safety hubs in town every so often. Can I just ask how often those would be and what kind of days? Are those only on Wednesdays?
So they're not as often as we would like. They're normally on the business. So we had on a Halloween. We had one during Freshers Week, and I think our next one is on St. Patrick's Night. So it's just more when we know town's going to be busy when people walking through, especially like something like St. Patrick's Night. People will probably be like going from pub to pub. So we'll be giving out spy keys. We'll be giving out information on how to get home safe, and like just generally just like giving people information. They don't happen as often because we have the police and the council get involved. So it's making sure that their availability on the evening as well. But we do have about, I think, 4 over the year that I know of.
Listen, Esther, you had your hand up there.
Yeah, a few of the topics Zane's already mentioned. I also want to just, thank you for bringing the Safe Zone app, because I got the email last week and I've been battered on by assessments. I completely forgot about it. But we have a small informal international student meeting that's happening this Friday in Augustine House. So I'll bring this up with those international students as well. And that's fine, right? And I can let you know of any inputs they have and, promote the app too.
Fantastic. I think as get it out there to as many people as possible will be only wholeheartedly grateful. Beth/Frankie.
Just something to add about Zane's point about the entranceway on campus. So years ago, there was a lot more because they didn't have the building works and things. So now a lot of them are closed. But the issue we had, I did raise this last year, is that it then affects disabled students and those who need those extra passages. You'd be surprised about how much of a difference it makes. So it's a really difficult balancing act of making sure we can patrol every entrance while still making sure it's completely accessible. I know it only may seem like 50 yards down the road, but that does make a huge difference to some students.
Just another thing, sorry. The council has made a website which I'll send to this group chat, and it's called the Safety Toolkit. So it's got all of the nighttime safety things that we do. So if I send that across, you'll be able to have a little read of that as well.
Thank you. That'd be helpful. It just seems that most of the measures the university has are after the fact and not preventative. From what I'm seeing coming into this, like I was saying on campus at the Chancellor's Q&A, Moira was pointing out the fact that the university have security cameras and all that, but it's not preventative measures, it's after the fact. And a lot of students maybe not feel comfortable at coming through. I was going to ask about their reports, the reporting part that you mentioned, if there actually had been any success in it, if students had felt comfortable coming forward onto that. So that's mostly the reason why I want to bring it up. Was it seems preventative wise, the security measures for students aren't visible. If they are, that may be something that needs to be addressed so that students do feel a lot safer. For me, for example, I've got a lot of friends and my girlfriend goes out quite a lot. I don't feel safe enough in Canterbury anymore. So this is something that I feel quite passionate about, and I hope that if I am wrong, that these can be brought to light. If not, then changes definitely need to be made.
Just as then, you're definitely not wrong. I think it's one of those things that 100,000 things to be done and it will still happen, and I'm not condoning that at all, just to be clear. What I would add is there is a lot of things around the campus, but I think it's at the point where we're almost immune to signage. I know I definitely am. I don't notice things on signs. And it's how do we communicate that so that everyone really knows? Like that email's obviously been quite effective. People have started to notice. But I know as a student, I never check my emails. I'm holding my hands up at that. But I think it's admitting that there's always more to do. This isn't a campaign that lasts a week and stops. It's not a campaign that lasts a year and stops. It's what work, and we always have more we can do. Until it's completely eradicated, there's always more to do. And I completely agree. And thank you for bringing it. It is something you're passionate about.
Yeah, I would definitely like to hear like some of your ideas that you like. Anything like we could work on, because I would love to work on that. So if you have any ideas, just drop me a message, or we can always have a meeting and see what we can do together. You're more than welcome to sit and like talk, because I have my CDI as well, so you can meet some of us and we can all work on it together.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. I'll email. I was going to do all of the list, but my assignments got the best of me, I will admit. So
yeah,
I will
that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up as well.
Alice, you had your hand up.
I have actually got potentially an idea that may work. I'm not saying it will work, but it could potentially work if we get it done the right way. Could we potentially have student like safety officers or something like that, where I'm not saying wear a high vis, because that just no one's going to wear a high vis, but just having someone maybe on a gate that's a student that can then talk to other students and the public to be like, do you know what there is out there for you? Do you know what you could, like a volunteering role, so it wouldn't cost anyone anything, just their time, to be on the gates being like, this is what's out there for you. Is there any way that, could that be an idea? I don't know.
Might be something that's worth promoting during, say, a Freshers Week, because that would be where you'd get the most penetration into people. You'd get to the most amount of people at that one particular time. And I know that the university hires student ambassadors during that time, so they would be burst for that time, so they're more inclined to do it. Yvette, would you like to jump in there? And hello. And you're muted at the moment. Effect, you've got your mic muted.
I think this is what happened to Anastasia last time, potentially.
Can I quickly say something? On my keyboard, I have an actual microphone button that I press when sometimes it's turned off. If you've got one of those, because that is what has happened to me previously. For me, it's F8.
Okay, if that's going to message the chat.
I'm using Chrome today, so maybe that's why. Don't minute that, but maybe it's the browser.
Sometimes technology. There has to be something said for face-to-face. I just want to reflect what Chris has mentioned in the chat as well, in case anyone missed it. He's just reminding us that the Vice-Chancellor's Q&A recording is going to be released soon, so we can see the conversation that happened between the Vice-Chancellor, Laura, and Arzania. That's written down. Is there a tannoy on campus? Without wanting to turn campus into a railway station, but the occasional on-campus tannoy message could be an idea. I don't think there's one up in Medway, and I would be corrected, but I don't think there's one on Canterbury as well. Beth?
No, I thought there should be. No, there aren't. The closest thing we actually have to those is new screens. I think they have them in Verena Homes that constantly display messages. That is the closest thing at the moment. I wouldn't be against a tannoy system. The only thing we've got to be careful of is disrupting lectures, but I'm not against it. Dan, you can action that.
We could just put Dan and go around with a megaphone to all the touchdowns.
Dan's got a loud voice, you can do that. But yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Yeah. Maybe expanding something in the touchdown and Medway campus as well. So you got that screen, it doesn't really get used for much. It would make sense to have something a bit more informative on there. Alice, your hand. Esther, sorry.
Is it possible that we put up posters in, pretty much around the campus, not just, maybe concentrating on Verena Homes and Touchdown? Because I do know there are a lot of students that miss out on Freshers Week, because they're not able to come into uni at that time, or they haven't reached UK around that time. So I do notice that there aren't as many posters close to the Daphne Homes building, and a lot of people do use that entranceway.
So yeah, it goes back to having that proper placement of a decent poster where people can see it, and then it being useful in terms of information there. Beth?
Sorry, I never shut up. I can't speak for Medway, but for Canterbury, I know they were talking about taking down all those, and if you've seen them, they're horrible, those poster boards, because they just looked awful. But I do agree there needs to be something in place for that. I know that we spoke as a union about having kind of something like a QR code where you can scan it and see like the latest updates, as you could have one for safety, scan here. And most people do have a QR scan on their phone now.
Sorry, you guys.
No, it's fine.
I do have a board in the lounge. I don't know if many of you have to lounge. This is in Canterbury, that has got nighttime safety stuff on with a QR code on some things. I don't know whether that's something we get across the campus, but we do have that in place for now for safety information.
Dan, if you'd like to come in, and then I think we'll move on from this point after this.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of the Canterbury campus, we did have the there were lots of sort of rectangular things on lampposts everywhere, which used to get full of posters, and they're really small. So what we did is we tried to get the university to remove those, which they have done, and to get a space in Touchdown where we can put like one specific place, sort of just for all of the sort of posters that sort of outside of the freshers time. But unfortunately, we're still waiting on that space, which, you know, that's our life really. So yeah, fingers crossed. Soon there'll be a space by the bookshop and by Touchdown. I don't know if you know that sort of area there, where it will be a dedicated space for all posters and, like Beth mentioned, QR codes and things like that, just so it's in one place, so sort of everybody hopefully will know to go there for things to see. Thank you.
Excellent, fantastic. Right, so the next one, I think, Dan, you covered it in your sabbatical update in regards to the PLU. It's sort of this ongoing discussion about what the PLU does for students and how they support students through their studies. The latest thing is they cancelled all elective placements, which is a good 6 weeks or so, where a lot of the healthcare students at Medway are now sort of left at a dead end. They've not really got anything in place. I've had some ideas come back to us in regards to how we fill up that time, in regards to getting maybe sessional speakers in. It's an interesting time. I would like to hear what PLU has to offer in terms of supporting students, which would have been sort of the more diversification of their courses. I don't know if anyone else would like to jump in on this. I know paramedics were specifically affected, and I believe I had some conversation with some of the nursing students as well, that they've been affected with their electives. No, that's absolutely fine. But no, it'd be good to hear what the outcomes from those discussions are.
Yeah, I'll make sure they're all followed up, and I can get in contact with you sort of before that. I know that next Union Council is not for a little while, so anything that I look into and I hear, then I can update you earlier than the next.
Fantastic. And I think the follow-on question for that would be, what do we do with that gained time? Just so students are getting their value for money, as it were, because that's probably will come up. Excellent. So the next point, I think, Tony, you've already discussed it with us, involving the joint SU and RCN event. So if you had extra bits and points, would you like to add them in, or shall we continue?
I don't have it at the moment. I don't have any more. It was something I raised with the RCN in the first place, but as Beth has said, just I'll speak to the Nursing Society as well, and see what they have to say, and get them and see if they want to be involved as well.
Okay, not to worry. It'll be good to see what comes up from that. If it works well for RCN, I think that should be expanded to all the other HCPC unions as well. It's definitely looking forward to hearing more about that one. Right then, moving on to our last point, which I had it on. So this was raised to me by a student, and they suggested, if COVID restrictions were to continue, would the university consider adding in the automatics extensions to assignment deadlines? As it stands at the moment, it seems like we're actually on a decline with COVID vaccination, with infections, not vaccinations, touching wood. Might be worthwhile just seeing if university is still amicable to the idea. However, I feel that perhaps it's not really required at the moment, which is a good thing. Zane, did you want to jump in on that one?
Actually, I just read that, and I've had this week a lot of people in my faculty getting in contact because information from the university hasn't stated specifically that the 48-hour extension that was automatically across the university wide, that hadn't been communicated correctly, saying that wasn't in place anymore. So a lot of students, about 28 students had got in contact saying that if that was still the case. There's a blog post on the university website that is still active concerning the specifics of that extension that is still there. Obviously from before the first lockdown. So a lot of students were very concerned, for one, and confused because information that had been taken away, they did not know that.
Okay, so actually there's still a little bit of confusion going on. So I think that's a very nice, easy
Sent
win.
out emails to relevant staff members, but obviously this time of year, 80% of the staff are out of office on annual leave. So that has also been a big problem with my faculty, specifically because of the creative side of it. A lot of the courses have been affected by COVID throughout the semester, even though you've been saying that's getting a little bit better, yes. But in the university side, with things like music, specifically music, those measures have been in place throughout and haven't kind of been let down. And the communication side of it from the university and from staff haven't been clear.
Okay, so really some more clarification would be much welcome. I think that's a very easy win for the university. And actually, I was very pleased to see them after the latest announcements from government, the day after we actually had some communication, which wasn't the case a couple of months ago. And we were really pushing for them to get the communication out to students so students do know what to expect. Jade, did you want to jump in there?
So obviously I joined university in COVID, so I've never known something without COVID. But my issue at the moment is, and I'm speaking on behalf of my whole cohort at university, is they're very contradicting with what they're saying about doing assignments at the moment in COVID times. So 1 minute they're like, when they're changing the wording when they want it to suit them. So not just like my whole class, but I've found this across other degrees as well. So they'll say to us, don't leave, number one thing you get told when you go to university, don't leave your essay to the night before. Fair enough. When there's now a 24-hour exam, because obviously they won't do an exam in person, they're doing 24-hour exams, they're giving us a stupid amount to do in 24 hours. And so, for example, this is my scenario. So I had 4,500 words to write in 24 hours, but apparently that was equating to a 2-hour exam. But yet they would give you 6 weeks to write a 2,000 word assignment. So it's very contradicting of if you were in a 2-hour exam in university, they were not expecting you to write 4,500 words and references on on a question you've never seen before. It's just unrealistic. And I knew there was people on my cohort that were up till 5 o'clock in the morning doing it for 10 hours straight. And that's not realistic. It's quite unfair that they've put us through that just because they made it harder because it's 24 hours. But I think they forget that people have lives outside of university, and I can't stay awake for 24 hours and do it.
No, of course not, and nor would you really be expected to. I believe the online take-home exams was kind of an extraordinary measure for the time, and from what I understand, is they're trying to phase away from those now, because they were sort of an ad hoc approach.
Yeah, well, I'm now halfway through my second year, and I've not done one exam in person, and I've just been for exam week, and I've had stupid amount of work in 24 hours, which is all well and good if you don't have a job outside of uni, a life, a family, commitments, animals, kids.
Yeah, of course. So really they need to maybe review on how they're giving these assignments and how they're assessing people, taking into consideration that when you take a take-home exam, you also have to deal with the consequences of said take-home exam and the environment.
So one of them was really good. So you had 24 hours to open the exam paper, and then you had 2 hours to do it. It was a timer. So as soon as you opened it, you had 2 hours, which is brilliant because you go to the library, you've got 2 hours, you do it. That worked perfectly. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't still easy, but after that 2 hours is finished, it doesn't matter how much I'd done, which is like a real exam. But I could do it at whatever point I wanted in my 24 hours, which was I found that was fair, that was realistic. But then you get given an assignment at 11 o'clock in the morning, you don't finish work till 5 o'clock, and you find out you've got 4,500 words to write, and it's just not fair at all. They really need to think about COVID in exams.
Yeah, really sort of horrible situation. Was this fed back to your program?
Yeah, so this was fed back to my program. It wasn't just me that was struggling. It's the first time I've ever gone, I want to drop out of uni. Beth will back me up on this one, because I went to her, I was like this is quite unrealistic. But at the current time, they did not see an issue with it.
Right, I see. Beth, did you want to jump in there?
Yeah, sorry if I'm going to make more work for Dan and ourselves here, but what would be really interesting to see is the marking criteria on like the equivalent of 4,500 words given you for 6 weeks as tough as the one that's 24 hours? Because if they're making it easier to get those marks, you can kind of see the leniency. But if it is literally as hard as doing it in 6 weeks and having that same amount of time, I would be interested to see how they can justify that. I don't know. Exams are not my area. I think Dan's the one who's closest to it, but even so, you'd probably have to check. But it'd be interesting to see, is there any leniency? And, you know, at the end of the day, if a student can't do the 24-hour exam, they're meant to give 24 hours notice to let them know they can't do it. So do you know what I mean? It's quite difficult. I know I've had students in that situation where they can't do an extenuating circumstances form because it's within that 24-hour notice. So, I mean, I'll have a catch up with Dan to chat about it and see where we need to go from there. But I think Jade's made a really valid point there.
Yeah, so it really needs to be because it's something really new to the university. I think they need to have a process in place for when this situation does occur. It will occur at some point, and it may occur again. Listen, did anyone have any additionals that they wanted to talk about in regards to this topic? Anyone has experienced this kind of situation where they've struggled, or had any other students that have struggled at all? Frank, there, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I think sort of on Jade's point, we had, I mean, we're in first year and we had a 24-hour exam. We had people working night shifts during the 24-hour exam period, and none of us were told even there was the option to delay it or similar. People picking up children from school, that sort of thing. So I think just, yeah, there wasn't much visibility from the examiners that we had that option to delay it or anything like that. I think as first years, we just stuck to the rules and tried to do it when we could, sort of thing.
So it's one of my favourite buzzwords is university needs to communicate effectively, and I feel I'm going to repeat myself here and say university needs to communicate effectively. That seems to be the message I'm getting here. Yvette's just put in chat there, have you seen the focus groups invitations? It would be good to feed this information into the focus groups, perhaps. And did anyone have any additional comments that they wanted to make? Frankie, did you have some other business for us? Oh, before we go to that, Anastasia?
I'm not sure if it's the same as Frankie's, but just we have some updates from the Cbi Committee. I'm not sure if that's the same thing that Frankie wanted to bring up, but just to make sure we mention those.
Excellent there.
No? Yeah?
No, I wasn't going to bring up CDI. So if you
Okay.
want to bring it up, Anastasia, you're welcome
Yeah.
to.
So just really briefly what we've been working on is firstly, like, we're really happy to have it up and running and us meeting again as a team, which is great. We've gotten our merch for the committee, which has been really, really great because in past CDIs wasn't always the case. So we're really happy that that's coming into place. We've also launched more our Instagram and social media so more people know about who we are and what we're up to and who's on the team itself. So please, all of you who want to give us a follow, that'd be great. And members are in the process of getting their photos taken and having those uploaded so more people can know who we are as a committee, which is great. One of the main things we've been working on is accessibility of different restaurants and venues in Canterbury. So as a team, we're just contacting different restaurants and venues, seeing how accessible they are on different criteria that we've established. Because when communicating this to students, you want to make sure they know which places are the most accessible for socials and events and all that. So that's going definitely well. We're going to be happy to share what we find out later on. And we've also been supporting, Frankie, different campaigns like the housing campaign and student loneliness campaign, which we hopefully by the next meeting we'll be able to say more about what we've how we've gone with that. And in February, it is LGBTQ Black History Month, so we hope to have something in the works for sure that we're really excited about. And we were talking a lot today about nighttime safety, and so a big thing that we're definitely wanting to encourage is the use of the Nightline service up at the Kent campus, both accessing the service and also students volunteering to be part of the service itself. So we hope to continue to do that. Yeah, if there's anything you want us to pass on to the Cbi Committee itself, please bring it up and we'll make sure to do it. But overall, it's going really well so far. I don't know if you want to add anything, Frankie.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Frankie.
Sorry, I only just found out I passed my dissertation and my dad's trying to ring me. Sorry, what was that?
She just said, "Is that okay?"
Yeah, no, that's all good.
Now it's
thank
your
you.
turn to talk.
Oh, I don't know whether I want to pass it on to anyone else before I go into my AOB. I call it AOB, sorry. I don't know if you want to bring them lot in first.
Sure thing.
There's noise coming from this end. I'll let everyone else go first.
Right, okay. In that case, Zane, would you like to jump in there?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up something else that I was looking at. I don't know if that was the same thing as Jamie, because it's something that we spoke about. Under my faculty was the creative arts, and when I took over the faculty rep position, there was concern through the department, sort of collaboration-wise, where if you had somebody doing their final project on a film, for example, they didn't know who to contact, if they needed actors, if they needed music involved, or somebody who did digital media, stuff like that. So from that, I was talking through with the school rep, and we created a Facebook group and invited all of the creative arts people onto that to kind of give them a window to communicate with each other, which led on to a discussion about student voice and integration and communication, where I was hoping again to come through and message the sabbatical office about this idea, was creating a scenario where courses and departments were treated as societies. So creating a social media link where year 1, 2s, and 3s could all interact with each other on a social media basis, which was Facebook in this discussion. And through working with the creative arts department to set up a Facebook group, I then got in touch with the social media marketing team for the university themselves, because this was something that they wanted to kind of get through on the university level. There were so many accounts with Cccu or Canterbury Christchurch University course or department name. And there was a discussion that I had with them and creating a scenario where we could create a social network with departments and courses, not so much as courses, because some courses have very few students. For example, I'm doing literature, so my year 3 group is 54 students, and that drops down to 38 in the first year. So that didn't seem in their eyes as something that would be being able to control. But I did have the idea, because the student union do that with the sports teams and other societies in that, if it was an idea that maybe the student union had control over or helped to control the content that went into society levels as courses. So for example, an engineering society, or I know archaeology are a very good one. The social media team mentioned them, that the archaeology have a very good social media base. And by creating that kind of integration within students who aren't part of sports teams or other societies, that promotes inclusivity through the student union and also the university. Also, as a side note, parallel to that, if you used Instagram accounts so I'll use creative arts as an example, that can be used as an exhibit for the course to outside students, to outside universities, what's going on with the university, and that can help aid, marketing the university and the course itself. So that comes back to creating, my point, creating a social network through courses and departments that link to the student union and collectively at the same time Canterbury Christchurch University.
Thank you very much there. Beth, I know it's getting close.
Ben, 2 minutes, can you do it? That's a really good point, Zane. I think you got a really valid argument there, in that we find that a lot of, so archaeology is a great example. I did the degree and I didn't get involved at all with society. The issue we have had in the past is when we tie in the course to society, it can be prone to then lecturers kind of taking over society, which is something we're very much like, it has to be student-led. Saying that, if, for example, Archaeology Society has a social media content person who works closely with the department, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and encouraging that and getting that message through rather than having loads of joint things. I found that they were promoting the events that archaeology were doing, and it kind of worked both ways. As long as the society remains student-led, that's the main priority from our point of view. But definitely worth something utilising as well.
So in that discussion with the social media team, that was something that I was very adamant about, that it had to be student-led. Obviously, further discussions down would be if lecturers would have, or staff would have, a part to play in the behind the scenes. But in the discussion that I had with them, my point was keeping it student-led and student-based. If staff members wanted to get involved in terms of being part of the content, not behind it, I would say that's great. But I think in terms of creating a social network for students, it needs to be student-led, which is why I was, from the marketing team point of view, from the Christchurch, was how would that content be controlled, which is why I was kind of wanted to bring it to the student union, was that sports teams and societies are, you guys sort of control the content that goes on there, as far as I've been told. I may be wrong, but maybe that's a case of when you would have your sports teams pick their chairman, their captain, their social sec, and all that kind of thing, is having that social media champion or person from the course itself who would run that page or the Instagram page or whatever we want to talk about, but still having to adhere to certain content rules that are set by the university and the student council, if that was the case.
So currently the societies especially they're overseen by the union, and we give them guidelines and training, things like that, but effectively they're unanimous from the union and that we oversee them. But what they do is not controlled by us. We just make sure they're not misbehaving, like posting things they really shouldn't be, but very much they are their own voice and they are very student-led. Not even we lead them. It's my job to oversee them and help them and get them trained up, but very much they run themselves, and that's an important point. But I think you've reflected that and said, as long as it remains student-led, that's the priority there, and I think you're absolutely spot on.
Yvette there.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, we can hear you.
Great. I've enabled my microphone. So with regard to the societies, they are accessible via the Student Union's website. That's right, isn't it? And some of them, you click on the site and it says no memberships available. So that's the situation with the mature students website and one other that I found. Do you know the reason for that?
So at the beginning of the year, we had one student who was running this mature students network, and like many societies, society, like many of them, we'd hoped to see them through COVID. It's quite strict rules that they have to have 3 committee members, but we've really tried to lax that this year to hope that more people came. So at the beginning of the year, it was available, and I myself was trying to keep it going, but that student unfortunately came uninvested. Now, that's probably on my bad. That should be taken down, but I think the hope for me was that people who get in contact with that SOC email address relaunch it. For me, that's one of the societies we kept up there because we really want to engage with our mature students. As a whole, they should all have memberships available. There might be a couple, but if you do see any, do let me know and I'll have a chat with our team, because that in theory should be coming down. But if there's a way we can branch out to our mature students actually through a network, that might be the next
Okay, I'll send you an email, Beth, because if I can do anything to help, put that live again, I will do.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
and for us as well, it doesn't have to be a full-time job. It's very much students who just want to engage with each other.
Yes.
Tony there.
Yeah, there is another mature students group, but it's called the Unofficial Mature Students Group, which is made up of, I think there's nearly 300 members in it. So, and they have their own WhatsApp group, which has got, I think, about 90 members. So it's kind of quite active. It was just that when I noticed the official mature students one, there were like 3 members there and nobody speaks to each other, and it's like, well, what's the point? Because I couldn't see a reason for it.
So what's happened there is the mature students network, the unofficial one, became separate, and there was actually a society at the same time that was run 2 years ago, just before COVID. We did try to engage with that online group, exactly the one you're talking about, invited them to Freshers Fair, asked them to come and engage with students, and they just didn't want to. So the difficulty we had was we wanted to engage with them, not necessarily run them or anything like that, but they just didn't want to be a part of the activity, which was a shame because we do know there's a strong base of students online. So we had students as well who came to us and said we aren't comfortable with that group. Just it seems very much ex-students who don't want to actually engage. So we've had it both ways. You know, we had a mature students coffee network morning, which was really successful from students who wanted to not be part of that group, but to actually meet up and have interaction. So we're just trying to do best on both accounts, really. But it's a shame that group doesn't want to engage with us because we would love to run things with them.
I think they're trying to keep, because there seems to be lots of people from a couple of times somebody will come in to the WhatsApp group and then all of a sudden it'll be like, hold on a minute, this isn't right. And there'll be something about that person that they'd end up getting ejected because there was just something about them that just doesn't fit. So we are, the WhatsApp group is pretty well monitored. The CCCU unofficial one is more, has got lots of people from lots of different places, and I don't understand how they've got in, but it's the way it's run. It seems to be businesses as well are kind of putting their foot in the door, and I don't know how they're doing that and how they're being let in. So, but that's got nothing to do with me.
Unfortunately, it's got nothing to do with the union. The thing is, if it was a union-controlled network or society, it's something we can monitor because they don't want to engage. At the end of the day, it's for whoever's running that page to. It's just like any Facebook group. There's not a lot we can do. But as we said, we're more than happy to engage them and work with them and go for membership lists, see if they actually are students, things like that. We could do that, but they don't want to engage, which is why that one's been set up by a small amount of students, admittedly, but that's what they want to do. So that's what we can continuously support until anyone comes with us saying they want support from us.
I mean, I did try and start a conversation in the official one, but nobody would say anything. So I just thought I don't need to be here because it's not really promoting any kind of discussion or anything.
Is it Frank?
Yeah, so the unofficial one, I was just going to say, has 459 members, so a lot more, as was being said. But also, as a mature student that's during the university, I found that the interaction was a lot more friendly and welcoming in that group than it was in the other one. Maybe people instantly spoke to you, you got sort of a welcome act sort of thing.
Yeah, it was always something was said to welcome somebody. Somebody would come in, ask them what course they were doing, etc., and things like that, just to promote some kind of welcome format.
I know it's slightly different, but there is also the CCCU student parents group, which has been created this year, and Charlotte Luscombe has taken responsibility for that group, and the majority of that is also mature students, and that seems to be progressing slowly, but she's putting a lot of work into that, and I think that is helping a certain proportion of the mature students. Not everyone, of course, it's not all encompassing, but it does help slightly for some of us who are parents and mature students. But just another note on that.
Excellent. Yeah, so I think this might be a topic for discussion for maybe the next meeting. We can all go away, have a little look about what groups are available. Is everyone got that social experience that they need? COVID obviously did quite a big number on a lot of our societies, and we've had to adjust accordingly. And if we are going on an upward trend again, it would be nice to reintroduce these societies in a way that includes everyone. Did anyone have any other business that they wanted to add on at all at this point, since we've got a couple of minutes remaining? I'm going to take that as a no. So I'm just going to quickly say that Beth's been a very hardworking, dedicated and caring individual. She's been extremely patient with me and my own shenanigans over the past couple of years. I pretty much make sure she's working all the time, because I'm like, let's do this. Let's go to cargo. Let's take over everything. Yeah, I like to dream big. And I just wanted to wish you, Beth, the very best with your future endeavours. So I'm sure you'll do fantastic.
Thanks, Ben. I'm just going to go and cry now. No, thank you, guys. You keep me on my toes, but I do love this. I genuinely do. So thanks. I'm just going to go cry now. Thanks, Ben.
That was the feeling. Right then, everyone, thank you all for coming. And we'll see you next time. Everyone, take care of yourselves.